Gentlemen, thank you for being here. Thank you for your service to the country. Thank you for your service to the future, because that's what this is about. And I just feel very fortunate that I got a place on this committee to talk about things like this. And had an astronaut in my office not long ago, a guy named Terry Virts, and my guess is both of you have worked with him, where he said, this is not rocket science, this is political science. And the part that we're dealing with right now is political science. And Mr. Rohrbacher and I, may have some differences, but generally this committee, and I've been on a lot of committees in this Congress, this committee gets along and agrees more than almost all the other ones. And so, looking at this, we're the authorizing committee. So you got the Budget Committee, the Authorizing Committee, and the Appropriations Committee. I, on this committee, would like to be able to give you something that says you are authorized to get us to Mars as quickly as possible. I'd like to be able to say something in an authorizing language. 10 years from now, we're going to have our astronauts on Mars for the future, for science, for discovery, for whatever. And so for us, if there's a goal of something like that, then we've got to find a way to do it so that you can provide a 10-year plan. Knowing under the Constitution from year to year, no Congress can bind the next Congress. That's just the way the Constitution is. But to give you some real guidance in setting a plan over a period of time to get us there. And so for me, I just suggest to my friends on this committee, say this is a national interest, it's a huge investment. Either we raise taxes to make that investment, which, will give some people, heartache, or we say we're going to prioritize this against the whole other budget, or all the other appropriations. Or we could do a public-private partnership and get some additional investment, or we could do a joint venture with some other countries, as we've done with the space station. And I'm a Star Trek guy, and I look at the bridge of the Enterprise, and I see every nationality possible, and then, people from other planets too. But, we can do those kinds of things, or maybe fee-based. But that's our problem. That's the political science piece of this thing. Now, the two of you have had to deal with Congress. You've had to deal with the White House. What would you suggest that we do to give you a 10-year plan? Mr. Cook?
I can tell you from experience that the authorization acts have been very beneficial to laying out our future. And the 2010 Act was very important to us. I encourage development of plans because they represent in the end, they're obviously a compromise in the end when they all get passed. And having a consensus on a direction is very important. The 2005 Act was important to us. The 2010 Act was. So those do have an impact, and the 2010 Act actually has set the motion forward to announce in 2011 the Orion and SLS programs.
Mr. Dumbacher?
Congressman, as I stated in my testimony, I think that, as Doug has said, that the 2010 Authorization Act provides the good starting point. It laid out 3 years' worth of funding levels. Recognizing the constitutional appropriations process, NASA can do a better job of planning when it has some idea of what budget level to plan to. Recognizing that cannot be passed in an appropriations perspective because of the Constitution, but having some concept of a plan so that if, for example, this body were to come back and say, use something like the 2014 NRC report as a planning basis, then NASA could go forward and use that.
So just a last question. So if we said we want to be on Mars in 2025 in an authorizing bill, could you give us a budget for that?
then the question would go to NASA to put that plan together, and then they would need to put a budget requirement to meet that plan, and they would need to come back and show that to this body for funding purposes.
Okay, thank you very much.